All right, I think that should be better. Okay, looks like the mic's working now. Welcome, whoever's tuning in. We are going to go over the PDZ Toolkit today and how it has saved me countless hours of having to wait doing my automations. Looks like we got a few viewers out there. Definitely drop on in, hang around, say hi. We'll try and get through this. I'll answer any questions anybody might have. But for now, let's go ahead and get into it because, once again, this is a recorded session. So anybody who arrives late or wants to go watch this after the fact is more than welcome to do so. They are always going to be saved in the group, the Pixnub group. So if you're not a part of it, definitely check out Pixnub, one of the pretty much the leading software for automation for volume sports photographers as well as for schools. I will also be downloading them and uploading these videos to my YouTube channel. So if you miss this particular session, don't worry about it. We definitely have other ways that you can view it. Also, if you ever want to see it just as a one-on-one, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to set up a little demonstration for you guys. But let's go ahead and get started. This is always the fun one. Why did the PDZ toolkit come about? Well, anybody who's worked with automation with Pixnub knows that it's very much data driven. And one day I misran some images for a few teams. And I want to say it was like 30 or 40 images that I had to rerun. And this was before I knew that there was a program out there called copy file names that lets you just copy all the file names at once and paste them into Excel. So what I did was I was hand typing everything in. I was hand typing all the images and then trying to copy over all of the data. Well, what ended up happening is out of those 38, 40 images, most of them ran, but there was maybe 12 that did not. And trust me when I say I spent 2 hours troubleshooting. I was getting angry at myself because I'm like, I'm looking at the CSV. The names are right. I'm looking at the files in the folder. Why is Pixnub not picking it up? Like, what about these images is it not liking? And turns out that I had transposed a P and a B. And I had been looking at it for so long that I made a mistake. So I'm like, you know what? In order to get rid of that user error, I'm going to fix it. And it's something I've been wanting to do. And everybody asks, hey, is there a program that'll automatically create your CSVs for you? Because that is one of the time consuming pieces. And now we do have it. So the PDZ Toolkit is more than just a CSV creator. It can also help streamline your barcode and tagged and QR code workflows by saving you time. It has simple Pixnub CSV generation in seconds. However, it will also handle more complex CSV generation, all Pixnub ready to go. Image sorting, you can also sort your images into teams, or you can sort them into folders that are ready for EZ Team Builder. The two differences, I gave you more options to where you can select the ordinal of the image. So for example, every first, second, third, fourth, I think I did fifth, last. You can select any one of those slots. So like, let's say every third image is the one I use for my team image. You can select every third image. Another option is some people just like to take all of their images, instead of having them in one folder, they want to be sorted into teams. So I also gave you the ability to sort into the whole team as well. And then we recently introduced batch image renaming, and then another tool that I'm going to be adding to the toolkit is the untagged metadata reinjection. I've been seeing a lot of posts about tools that are out there that they might use for their workflows, but whenever those tools save those images off, maybe it strips off that metadata. And if you run in tagged and you're uploading to say got photo, then you know it has to have that metadata, or else it's not going to sync up correctly and you're going to have to go do it all by hand. Again, that's time consuming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an tag metadata reinjection. As long as you have the original roster that has the image and the barcode with that player, then you're going to be able to say, hey, I want to re-inject this barcode onto the copyright field of the images in this folder. And so it's going to be able to do that for you too. I haven't started that one, but it is on my list of things to do, so you can expect that coming as well. Okay, the Undead Spot Factory. This is pretty much the bread and butter. This is what solved my headache and really really helps me make my CSVs literally in less than a minute most of the time. Now, granted, I'm very fluent in it. I know how to use it, but even at its most basic use case, if you've seen my YouTube channel and the video on there, I can make a CSV running 4 different templates in less than a minute. All right. So you can, this can run 2 different ways. You can build from a CSV. So let's say you're using GotPhoto and you have a GotPhoto export. You can use it that way. I know another one of my subscribers, he actually uses Blueprint, and Blueprint also works. I think he has to tailor 1 or 2 of the fields on the export, but it still works just fine. You are not limited to only using like a GotPhoto export. It's all data driven, so no matter where your data comes from, you can make it work for this application. Now, I know there's also some photographers out there who don't deal with the data like that, so they don't put names on their images. They literally just have a folder of images and they make a quality product. So you have the option of building from just a folder of images. Now, this will also let you preview your CSV or your data. If you select your images, you'll see a list of images. If you upload your CSV, you'll see your CSV data pop up here. And another thing down here that I added was you can auto annotate buddy images, or multiples as some people call them. And what happened there is if you don't want to run your one template for all your buddies and you want to run a separate template for your buddies, you need a way of filtering it down to just those buddies. And when you do it by hand, again, I completely speak from experience, after so many, you're going to sometimes mark the wrong one, or you're going to skip some. So what I do is I have a folder of all of my images. I create a new folder called buddies, and I just drag all the buddies over in there. Because to me, that's a whole lot faster than like, okay, I need this number, go in the CSV, find it, okay, annotate the one, hope I didn't click the row above or below, and keep going. So I'm able to just drag and drop to a new folder, and then all I have to do is select that folder, and it's going to automatically annotate everything for me. So that's just another, again, time saving is what this app is all about. All right, so there's your data import. That's what it looks like. Pretty simple. Actually, right here you can see auto annotated all the buddies. So I went here, I selected this folder of images that had buddy images, and what it's going to do is going to say, okay, for every image in this folder, I want to go through, find it in my roster, and I'm going to annotate it just with a simple X as a buddy. Now, you can do this by hand as well. You don't have to do it this way. To me, it just saves a lot more time. All right, the settings, this is completely optional. This lets you get really granular in how you want your automation to run. For example, if you're running a league with 100 teams, and those teams are like the MLB teams, we'll just say that. And they're also using like MLB colors. Well, you don't want to use, if you want your template colors to match the team, then the easiest way to do that is say, you know, for this template and this team, I want to run this action, right? That's like a granular setting. It's something that you're only applying to a subset of teams and not to the job as a whole, right? The template is something you would be applying to a job as a whole, but to run that one action for that team, that is very granular. That's where you would do it right here. And this is also, this is everything that you can set down at the granular level, right? So for this group, for this marksmanship team, right? So we have the group or the team that they're on, what template file, and then these are all my unique settings that I want to run for that team on that file, right? So we're saying, hey, for your team file, I want you to use this one. And you can specify whatever you want. Let's say you want to run a different post action. Let's say you want to run a post action that changes the colors for this team. Well, over here in post action, which is obviously cut off because it goes far off to the right, you would put in the action that you want to call for that team. And so in your CSV, you would have for this person who's on this team, on this memory mate, I'm going to load this file, but then I'm going to run this post action because that's what I have defined. And again, you're going to see this more in action when we go through the demos. This is pretty much what I've always called the order form. It looks more complicated than it is, but basically all you need to do is select your template and do the append file name and hit add. Everything else is optional, right? And remember how we annotated our buddy images? Let's say you have that buddy template, then you can select this and it's only going to add the rows that are marked as buddy, right? It's not going to use that template for everybody. That's a way for you to get a little bit more granular, give you a little bit more control over your automation. But you select your template, you got your append file name, you mark right here if it is a memory mate. If it's a memory mate, then you have the option of appending to the end of the group file, the group name for your team image. If you don't put anything right here and you click on this, then basically the app is going to default to whatever your team name is or whatever's in the group field, .jpg. So if you have 8U Mavericks, then it's going to default your team name to 8U Mavericks.jpg. However, if you remember in the previous slide when we're talking about the settings, you can define that image as whatever you want. But if you don't want to use the settings file, then as long as you name your team image to your team name.jpg or team name.png or .tiff.pst, whatever you want to use, it'll work. We added new file names, so if you want to change the overall file name instead of using the append file name, you can. If you want to put it down into a subfolder, you can. And here you can update the league name and year. You can set a pre-action and post-action without having to do it at the granular level. And then you can add player 2 or player 3 files if you choose to do so as well. So if you want to run a banner that has a player 2 file, you can do it right here without having to do any additional work on your end. These are the different file name options. This is typically going to be more, we can change this over time. If you go like, hey, I really want this type of file name, just let me know. I can definitely add it in. But I know there are in some workflows you guys like to rename your files after the fact. This is one way of doing it in flight. You don't have to hard code it in your CSV. This will do it for you. Yep, memory mate option. By default, it uses group.jpg as the team name. And if you want to append, you can add something in this box like _mm, and it would do Orioles_mm.jpg. So quick, easy, and you're going to see how quick and easy it is here shortly. You can apply templates to certain images, so you can limit to buddy images, as I already kind of talked about. But then we also use a limit column. So if you have a limit column, whatever you have in there, you can filter it down by that. So let's say you only want to run this template for people on, in this instance, the P/R team, right, for the set, because they wanted a specific template and you don't want to run it for the whole thing. Well, you can just add a limit and filter it down to this PR, and it'll only add line items for anything within that limit. It's really easy to use. And again, completely optional. If you hit none, it's just going to apply it to everything as a whole group. It's kind of tailored. I tried to tailor it for a lot of people's different workflows, but you just figure out how it works for yours, and you'll be so fast with it. This is kind of again, the template order form. As you add templates, you're going to see everything that you've already added. All right. Now in this example, I have 2 added. You got a 4-5 vertical and a 4-5 vertical. The reason I do that is because one of those is going to have text and one will not have text. What I'm doing is in my second one, I'm calling an action that is hiding all the text. But I don't have to go through and filter it and make it all by hand. This is just going to do it for me. And this is how you can view your Pixnub ready CSV before you export it. So if you're going through, you can kind of spot check everything. You can see I got my post action over here on the right, where I'm calling different actions. Got my pin file name, got all my images, got my template files, and you will be able to scroll over to the right to see more if there are more columns. You can remove empty columns. That will, because a lot of times your CSVs will have like identifiers or even like positions that are just never filled out. And so in order to help clean this up, you have the option of removing empty columns. You got your CSV delimiter. It defaults to a semicolon delimited. However, if you want to use comma or colon, you can select it right here. And again, that's kind of giving you more control over the output of everything. And I know, especially if you have names with commas in them, like let's say you want to view the name as last name, comma, first name. If you do that with a comma separated, then it's going to bomb everything because that comma is a delimiter. However, if you don't have semicolons or colons in your data, then you can use this and that comma is not going to throw anything off. You got your full run and your test run. Full run is going to be the one that actually kicks off every image that you want to be automated. A test run is what I use to basically test my automation before I get started. Last thing I want to do is run 8,000 images through an automation only to find that 2 of the templates are not running correctly, right? And so I have to rerun it. Well, the test CSV, actually, let's see if I cover it right here. Yep. Test CSV will take 1 player per team per template, so you can test everything running well before it kicks off the full automation. So right here, you can see I've got this Sarah. She's on this team. She is a buddy image. So this for 1 team, right? 1 player per team per template. So if I can run this with 0 issues, that's telling me that my actions are kicking off. It's loading the correct team file. It's loading all of the player data correctly. Then I can feel confident that my full run CSV of my 8,000 images is going to run fine as well. I'd rather run these, 8 images right here and find my errors than run 8,000 and figure out there were errors. So this gives you a way to do both at once. Also, for those who probably do this anyway, instead of building the whole thing and then having to select and choose a few of them to create another CSV to run as a test, this will just do it for you automatically. The intag sync. The intag sync to me, I shoot intag now, and this lets you sync your images without having to upload them to GotPhoto or whatever platform you use. Now, where this saves you time is it takes a lot of time to upload all your images to GotPhoto. I did some testing last night, and it's astonishing how much of a time difference it is, which I have the numbers, I believe, on the next slide. So if you can sync your data, your images to your roster data without having to upload and sort and download and all that, or wait for in tag metadata to be synced in GotPhoto, because every time you upload images to GotPhoto, they always have this thing. It says metadata. What is it? In tag metadata metadata and tag. What is it? And tagged metadata synchronization may be taking longer than expected. That's time that we don't need to be spending. So I created this, and this lets you you load your roster, and being that every roster coming from different systems could be different, you will need to select what column has your barcode data. And then you want to ask, hey, where does your barcode data reside in your image? All right. The drop down, so like for this example that we have right here, it's copyright. However, you can also do the comment field. If you use the default settings on the Nikon, it goes to the comment field. All right. But if you use Canon, defaults to the copyright, so on and so forth. So you select which one you want to use. If there are other options than comment or copyright, I will add them as time goes. Just message me and work with me, and I'll get that incorporated. But right now, it works for comment and copyright. Then you open up your folder of images. It's going to go through and it's going to go read the barcode off of every image. Then after that, you're going to synchronize it, and it's going to synchronize your data to your images. This is the test I ran yesterday. I uploaded 1,071 images to GotPhoto using Easy Upload, which has your 5 or 6 streams running at once. It took me 47 minutes and 22 seconds just to upload the data. That doesn't include waiting for it to synchronize. That doesn't include having to re-download it if I sort it into teams or anything like that. That's literally just from when I clicked upload to when I saw that it said I could hide the finish because it finally finished. 47 minutes and 22 seconds. I did the synchronization with tag for the same 1,071 images, and it took me 1 minute and 38 seconds. So again, for 45 minutes that you've just saved, you can be working on something else. You could already be building your teams because you've already sorted everything. QR code image sync is a similar time savings. However, not quite as much. Where we're saving time here is you upload only the QR images to GotPhoto or whatever platform, and you let those synchronize, and then you download that roster data basically. And then what that does is that gives us the first image right here with the player data assigned to it, all right? And then this is your list of images, and then after you hit sync, it's going to give you all of this down here. So that is a way, instead of uploading 1,071 images, let's out of 1,071, what is that? Let's say, we'll say 150 of them were QR codes. You're only uploading 150 QR codes now instead of 1,071 images. So the time difference from there, is going to be a ton of time savings for you. So once it activates, you just download the roster, you pull it into here, select your images, and it'll sync the rest up for you. Barcodes, I don't know if there's really anybody who has written their own scripts or has a way to synchronize barcodes to your data, but this also handles that. So you got your barcode file with all your scans. Again, you got your barcodes here and the scans. You select your image data, and what I'm doing is I pull the images and the time they were shot, and then so now I have everything I need to synchronize everything. Or you got your roster. And then once you have your roster with your barcode data, you got your barcode scans, and the date time that everything was shot, I can now synchronize all the data. So you no longer have to send it off for synchronization. You can also do your barcode data here as well. And then just because I sometimes forget if my image in tag data was on copyright or if it was set to comment, or let's say I go and try a new third-party tool. For example, like Evoto. I had an issue with Evoto a while back to where anything I ran through Evoto was not keeping my comment data, which has my tagged barcode in it. If it was in the copyright, there wouldn't be a problem. However, for user comments or for the comment field, it would not retain it. And so now what I do is whenever I try a new tool, or let's say I send it off for a new service for whatever, I will pop it up into here and I'll go find the tag that actually has my barcode in it to ensure it's still there. If it's not there, I know that either I'm going to have to use the future tool I'm going to create with the data re-injection, or I'm not going to use that product anymore because they aren't cohesive to my workflow. Batch renaming, that's kind of what it sounds like. You have a directory of images, and you have your CSV that you upload, and this just gives you a way to rename everything. I have talked to a few photographers who like to run easy composites after the fact, but they're not confident in their CSV abilities. So what they do is they just rename all their images by hand. So this gives you the option to basically do your image renaming with the CSV, and you don't have to. It's going to go through and it's going to see each of the columns that exist, and these are all the options available. Again, if you guys have more options that you want, just hit me up. I'll definitely see if it's something we can incorporate, because I want to ensure this works best for everyone's workflows, including your own. And then compared to the competitors, if you've been watching this whole time, there's a whole lot that it can do that the others don't. Yeah, simple authentication, easily navigating everything. We actually allow a lot more options whenever you're working through your CSV workflows. You can select the player 2 and player 3 file ordinals instead of having them defined for you. You can customize your team image file names for your memory mates using those settings files. You can preview the data, import, export. Additionally, you have your job prep. You can actually sort all of your teams into your team images. Again, barcode image sync and tagged image sync, and the modified QR code image sync player data. Batch rename features, and here soon I'm going to have the metadata re-injection. Overall, it's a whole lot you can get for only $15 a month compared to the others. We also have a Discord community, so you can definitely come and join us and here in the Discord. This is kind of where I sometimes talk about my new features that I'm thinking about implementing. I'll put the release notes on there. This is also going to be where you can download it, the latest builds. So we also just like to hang out. I'm going to build this out more because does it see one second, Kylie? I'm going to look at building this out more because I really want it to be a community to where we can help each other, very much so similar to the Pixnub community. You can also help with workflows and just helping each other out there too, but a lot of it's going to be, because I mean, in the end, as we're doing all this, we all feel like zombies in the end. So we're all photo-day zombies together. Does the CSV creator work when you're still taking pictures of the QR codes before you take pictures of the kids? Yes. So that is the QR code workflow enhancement that I talked about. You're going to take just the QR codes and upload them to, let's say, GotPhoto. If you use GotPhoto, you're going to synchronize it, and then you're going to download that metadata. That metadata is going to say, okay, these are the images that were taken. Here's all the player data that goes with that image. And then this app will actually synchronize everything up together. I'm going to show you a demo of how it works as well. And also, we're working on it for Mac. Right now it is for Windows. However, we are working on it for Mac. I know people have been asking. I really wanted the March 1st deadline. However, we did run into development issues and concerns. So we're actually restarting it from the ground up. And right now I'm shooting for April 15th. I was really hoping for April 1st. I honestly don't think we're going to make it. There's a lot of nuances when designing for Mac. It's kind of a pain, but we are working through them. We do have one small tool for the comp kit, which is used for making banners for competitions. That is currently working, but we're currently in the process of coding it for Mac pretty much as we speak. I think my other developer's already working on it. So that's the little presentation that I have. So now we can actually get into seeing it all work. Okay, so here is the overall toolkit. Over here, you got all your different options. So you got the undead spa factory. That's going to be your CSV maker, the Q-code image sync and tag sync, barcode sync, your job prep, your metadata viewer. We'll start very simple and we'll just look at the metadata viewer. So right here, all you got to do is go select an image. We'll say then tag extractions. All right, shows your image right here, and you can then just go look at all of the data. Again, I shoot with Nikon, so there is my barcode data. Okay, if you shoot Canon, that's going to be in your copyright field, which I don't even know if I have a copyright field. I do, it's blank, but it'll show up right here. So this is where you would go to ensure that your metadata is not being lost. All right, and so we'll do the Q-code image sync next because I'd like to start from the beginning of our workflow, right? So you set up your job in Gotphoto, you went and you took your pictures, now you're ready for the next step. For the Q-code, you're going to upload your images to Gotphoto, just to QR codes, because instead, remember, it takes a lot less time to upload 150 QR codes than it does to upload 1,000 images. So what we're going to do is for the QR code image sync, this is going to be the CSV that we get back from Gotphoto. All right, so you have this QR code, these JPEGs belong to this kit right here. Okay, got the access code, got everything you need. Next, you're going to select the folder of images. All right, so if I have it around here somewhere. Where is it? Toolkit demo, example 1. And so here is just the folder of images. That's literally all it is, a folder of images. And then I'm just going to hit sync. So now, for this JPEG, if you are familiar with how a QR code works, the QR code workflow, the first kid is here, and every image you take after that, until the next QR code is going to be assigned to that image. And that's how the sync is working. So in that little amount of time, I was able to sync everything up. And then from there, you can just export to CSV. That's going to give you a workable CSV that you can use to then build your automation. So QR code workflow enhancement right here is, again, saving time on not having to deal with your upload download. I have a really good upload. I think the last time I tested my upload speed, it was around 800 megasecond. And then my download is the same. I got a gigabit to the house. However, not everybody has that. Some people have much slower internet. And so again, that's just going to make it take that much longer to upload. So if I can get rid of having to upload, download, and do all of that until I'm ready for my finished product, I want to take it. The barcode sync. All right. Now for the barcode, if you ever used barcodes before, this is what your scan data looks like right here. All right. It doesn't tell you much. It has a barcode and what time that scan was scanned. That's all it tells you. And then you have your barcode roster, which you would get from whoever, Gotphoto or Photoday or whoever. It's got your data all together. All right. But my concern is this right here, the barcode column. And then you have these few columns right here of all the data. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our barcode file. So we're going to go to our barcode. We're going to select that file. That gives us all of our scans. Then we're going to select our images directory where all of our images reside. It's going to go through and it's going to find, hey, what time was all of these images taken? Then I'm going to open the roster, which has my barcode in it. And you need to select what column has your barcode in it. And you're just going to hit synchronize. And so now you can see that this image belongs to Tessa. This image belongs to Tessa. These two images belong to Mackenzie because it is synchronizing everything up. You now have the ability to get your synchronized data and export to a CSV, and then you can use this CSV to create your final automation piece. So this is how the barcode sync works. Again, I don't think many people have the scripts that they need to do this, and especially not those who are new to it. So this gives you the ability to keep that power in your hands versus sending it off somewhere else. Because once again, if you have to send it off, then you're still having to upload all these images to them because they need the images in order to have the date times that they were shot. So next we'll do the untag sync because that's to me my biggest, or one of my biggest time savers. We have already looked at one of our images that we're going to kind of look at. We saw that the barcode was in the comment field. So I already know that my barcodes are in my comment field. But first, let's go ahead and go open that roster. We're in the untag sync. So now here's my data, right? I got my names, my groups, and what barcode they're with. Barcodes are in barcode 1. And then I'm going to go select that image directory. And while yes, this is not like super fast because it has to go and pretty much open each image, and it also has to read the metadata from it, or touch each image and open the metadata from it, I am not having to upload everything. And so yes, I'm looking at ways to make this faster, but this is by far the fastest I've been able to get it so far. And I still would rather do less than 2 minutes than 50 minutes uploading to GotPhoto. So once it finishes, you're going to see now we have our file names, we have our barcodes. I know that this barcode is going to match a barcode up here. And if those match, then I know that for this image, this is the kid's player data. So now I can just hit synchronize. And now I know that, hey, this image belonged to Trey, right? This image belonged to Kinsley. And then these images belong to Kylo. So this allows me to then save my CSV. And so now I have my synchronized data all in one spot. I don't have to worry about uploading to GotPhoto. I don't have to worry about using an online third-party tool to be able to handle my data. I can do it all myself here. So we did the Q-code image sync, we did the untagged image sync, and the barcode image sync. Now what that did is that allowed us to basically post-shoot, we managed to synchronize our data to our images, and we have a working CSV. So now we know these images belong to these kids. So I'm almost ready to start building my teams. So what I can do is I want to go over to job prep. Now the job prep is what I call it, because basically it's prepping my job for ready to be built. All right. Before I can build memory mates, it's not going to do me any good to build memory mates if I don't have my teams built. So first thing I want to do is the CSV that we had just created. I want to actually go in and I want to do example 1, example 2. Do example 1. So here's our sync data. And if I go over to my job prep, example 1, I need to delete that because I already did that. So here is all of our images. So all we've done so far is we just uploaded our CSV, that's it. Now down here, hey, what image is your team image? Well, I'm just going to do the first image of every kid. If I click that, notice over here on the right, I'm able to preview my data. Before I copy anything over, I want to make sure everything's right. Okay, so I can go through and I make sure that, hey, these are the images that I want. It should be the first image of each of these kids. And if I sort over here on the group, I can see, hey, 55 is the first image of Kinsley, and 99 is probably going to be the first image of that other player. But you have 0266 here, right? That's the same, that's the first image of Micah. There's 99 that we had just talked about. That's the first image of Thaddeus. And then we got 114 over here, right there. That's the first image. So I know that the first image is working. You also have all your other ordinals over here. If I want the second image, I can preview that. And it's going to go through and it's going to pull the second image. All right, 0370. That is the second image of Franklin. Or if I want to do the entire team because I like the way having my team separated by team, I can do it that way as well. So now I'm going to select where my initial images are and then where I want the destination to be. Let's say I'm just going to create a new folder over here. I'm going to call this by team. Select that. So I've got where my images are and where I want them to be. I'm going to move the whole team. Again, I can preview it, make sure that everything looks correct. And then what it's going to do, so now I've got by team. And if I open up this, it has all the team images here. So that's just by team. That doesn't help us for using EZ Team Builder, right? For EZ Team Builder, we want to use, I shoot personally, first image of every kid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new destination directory. And I'm just going to put a new folder called Ready for Team Builds. Ready for Team Builds. And then from there, I'm just going to do the first image. Notice I went a whole lot faster because there's a lot less images to move. But if I go Ready for Team Builds now, I can look in here and I've got the first image of every kid. Yeah, it was a very small team. Most of them didn't show up. And so now that I have sorted everything into teams, I am ready to start building my teams. So I go through, I build all my teams, makes it super easy because I just run EZ Team Builder. And so now we can do the Spa Factory. Because now that I've finished making my teams, I'm ready to build my individuals and my memory mates. So first thing we're going to do from here is select our roster, right? We are going to do this one. This has all of my images, has the players' names, what team they're on, and the buddies in this one are already pre-marked. So I'm going to hit next. Now here is where I can generate a settings file. What that'll do is that'll create me a new file. See, I already have some here. Let's do demo settings. And what that is going to do is allow me that granularity that I've been looking for. We're going to do this one, demo settings. And this is all it is, right? It creates me a basic settings file. I have, if you look at all of these, you'll recognize them as the available options for Pixnub automations. And any of these can be, you just type in whatever you want. So let's say for the red team, we'll just build one out. I know for the red team, if I'm going to build this ascend vertical, put the file name there. I know this is not a memory mate, so this team file is not going to do me any good. But the reason that I wanted to customize this team is I want to run a post action. So I'm going to go to post action 1, and I'm going to put in what I want it to be. I'm going to call the red action. Okay. And let's say for this one, instead of being red, I'm going to do black, white, and then gray. And so this, now what happens is when I do this and I save it, when I pull it in to this, it's going to actually apply those in my final run. But again, this is all optional. So let's build without it right now. So I'm going to say I don't need one. So now we go back to my order form. So I know for the first, I want to run, let's change this layout, view details. So for this one, I know I want to run the ascend 4-5 vertical. I'm going to call it ascend 4-5T because it has text. I'm just going to add that. I don't need any of this other stuff because like I'm not using a logo. I don't need it to go to a subfolder. My league name is probably hard-coded. I'm not running multiple leagues at once. And the year is already hard-coded on there, or I'm not displaying it at all. So I want to run the same one again, only this time, this is going to be ascend 4-5 NT because that NT tells me there's no text on it. Well, how am I going to get it to hide all the text? I'm going to call this post action right here. And that's all I got to do. So when it runs for those, it's going to apply that that action to it. So from right here, I just want to see where I'm at so far. I can just click on a review. So now we'll remove empty columns because again, I don't need year, number, position. Look, they're empty throughout the entire thing. That's just making it kind of annoying. So now right here, I can see, okay, for my template file, my append file name is the T, right? I'm not running an action on it. I didn't specify that, but here's all of my data. That's going to tell the automation. But when I get down to halfway, when it switches, so now it has the same template, only this time it's switched over to an ascend no text, and it's going to call that action. All right, cool. So we're getting closer to what I want. I'll go back to my templates. Let's add some more. I know I also want the ascend memory mate. Now, from here, I'm going to do ascend memory mate. I'm going to click, this is a memory mate. Remember, what that's going to do is going to then tell the application, hey, I got to deal with the team file for this one. And then I don't need to run anything else. That's all I needed to do. I'm going to hit add. So now if I go to review, you'll see over here, there's now a team file column. And if I get down here to where the actual teams are, it defaulted, as it said it would, white.jpg is what it's using as the team. Now you can specify this in that settings file if you choose to do so, but if you want to just do it really quick, as long as you name your memory mate team file the same as your team, you won't have to, as whatever's in this group, you won't have any issues with it. So now I can see for every image, I have that one, and that one. So now I'm going to go back to my templates. I'm going to select the vertical buddy, and I'm going to open this. Now, when we go back here to the images, you see I have buddies annotated. So I'm going to call this one ascend BDY for buddy. And I'm going to limit this to just the buddy images. Just by clicking that button, that's all I got to do. If I hit add and I go back to the review, I can see that when I get to the end, it is only applied them to the buddy images. Okay, I don't have couple hundred in here. It's just these few, whichever one's annotated are the ones that get the buddy images. And just to get crazy, let's go ahead and add some more. I'm just going to kind of breeze through these. These are going to be doing the same thing. The idea is that I'm going to be running. Actually, I'll do the banner first. The 3-4 banner, because that does incorporate another feature. So we'll call this one BNR. And then I know that this banner has a player2 file. And I'm going to do every second image. We're going to do the last image. We'll say the last image of every player is going to be the one that's going to be the player2. And I can just add that. Now I can go back to review. If you look over here, now we have even more columns being added. I'm not having to go through in Excel and add them, copy, paste, copy, paste. Now it's going through and it's actually got all of my player2 files in here. Notice, hey, you might have multiples like this, right? Because I took a lot of pictures of this kid. However, he's only got one last image. And so it's going to apply that last image is the same to every one. Simple enough. And we're going to go ahead and add this portal 4.5. And again, think about how long it would take you to make a CSV of this size by hand. Right? So I got portal 4.5T. I'm going to do a showcase right here. So I'll do showcase, if I can spell, 4.5T. I'm going to add that. So I've got 7 different templates here that I'm running all at once. And I can go to hit review. And I can look down through everything. So let's go ahead and just save this off. I'm going to create a full run and a test run. So I got my full test. And so now let's take a look at the differences in those two. I always start with the test run. So what does our test run give us? It gives us one image from every team per template. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 templates is what we put in. And we have one player from every team. If I can run this and I review these 28 images and I have 0 issues, then I know that I can run, where's my full? I don't even know how many are in here. Those 28 images run with no issues, then I know these 3,058 will run with no issues. So that is that's essentially how easy it can be to run this. If I were to run it traditionally, like at my own pace of what I'd normally run, then I would do this. I'd go next. I don't need one of those. I need my ascend 4.5 vertical. I'm only running it on one template right now, so I'm going to add that. I'm going to add my buddy. We'll say this is my buddy, limits my buddy images. I also need my memory mates. I'm going to say this is a memory mate, add, review, column. So as fast as that was, again, as you get proficient, you're going to know how it works. I'm able to create my full run CSV that fast. Now, let's say that you're one of those who doesn't use a CSV, right? You can also build from a folder of images. So if I go here to my untagged, right here, again, I'll hit next. Templates, what do I want to run them on? I want to run this one on this ascend 4.5 vertical. I'm going to add that. I'm going to run it on showcase as well. We'll do SC. And then I want to run it on portal. So hit next, hide my columns, and now I have a CSV to where I can run it on 3 different templates right now. Now if I go back and yeah, it canceled, so it wouldn't work. I don't think I have one in here. I don't have the limit set up on this one. Let's say I wanted to limit to like just my standing or just my sitting, my kneeling, right? If I have a folder of kneeling images. And that's another thing too, which I don't have that demo set up, but I have a client that I edit for, and they will send me a folder of images, and they're separated by pose, right? So you got headshots in one folder, you have kneeling in another folder, and then you'll have standing in another folder, and he'll tell me like, hey, I need these images run on this template, this images run on this template, and these images run on these 3 templates, right? And so from here, all I need to do is select from the folder of images, go back to my intag scene, pull my extractions, and then I can go through this, add my template, say, okay, he wants this run on this template. So we'll call that 45T, review. I'm going to create my full run CSV, and then we'll call this the full run. And then I can go back and select a different set of folder of images. So I did the Inon on that one. Let's do the large example here. Select my templates, because he wants these run on a different template. Well, I can actually append to the last one. So what I'm doing that way, if I do it that way, I'm actually building as I go. It's building the full run CSV. So from right here, we had our first one that we did, and then it scrolls down and it switches over to the other. I messed that one up because it needed to be comma. But again, user error. I made that mistake. The program itself did not make the mistake. But that's essentially the toolkit. It's very powerful in how much time it can save, especially on the front end. But building the CSVs are super simple. Does anybody have any questions? Or does anybody want to see anything else before we sign off for the day? Or we can move over into office hours if you have anything to talk about for your own workflows that you have questions about, or ways to save time. Because I know we all feel like zombies in the end. When it comes down to editing volume like this, when we have 5 to 10 jobs drop on us at once, and it seems like we shoot every day, but we need to also have time to edit, right? It's like I can't even edit the first job because I'm shooting for the next 3 days. We got to find ways to save that time, and this will help you get a lot more done in less time than if you didn't have it. Let's see. Well, I haven't seen anything come in. Thank you everyone for joining. If you have questions, definitely reach out. Come join the Discord community and let's hang out. I'll be happy to help everyone. If you want to get it, just go to my website, www.photodayzombies, and toward the bottom, you will see the sign up link. And then from there, I will get everything over to you. This application is still heavily under development. This is the latest working release right now, but as I've said, I have more coming. If you run into a bug, we have a channel on our Discord server where you can bring it up, and I will usually do everything I can to fix it the same day. So it's not like I'm going to tell you, oh, you got to wait for the next release. But like, no, if there's a bug, it's my personal work ethic that I want to ensure that I resolve it as fast as possible so that you guys can succeed. Here, I can actually bring it up. Where is it? Yep, FooterDayZombies.com. Scroll down to the bottom. Right here is where you can subscribe. It is just for Windows at the moment. However, you can step-by-step documentation. No, not yet. That's on my to-do list for sure. But now that this video is here, it is recorded. You can actually step back through it and watch it. If there's anything specific that you want to know of how to do, you can message me directly either in Discord or on Facebook, and I will walk you through it personally. If you've seen me in the group, you will see a lot of times I will comment and be like, if you want to have a quick, one-on-one video call, I will basically personally navigate you through whatever you're trying to do. I will say most have taken me up on that, and it has definitely allowed them to move forward at a lot faster pace of getting a resolution than if they're waiting on people to comment. So I am always open to quick video calls. Let's just hit it hard, get it done, and then you can move on with succeeding. But yes, the documentation, the reason that I don't really have this step-by-step documentation done yet is because this app is continuously evolving. I am always looking at ways to improve it. And so as soon as I make the documentation, I know I'm going to add 2, 3, 7, 8 things or change how things are done. And I would just have to change all that documentation right now. So I will get to it when I can, but it's probably not going to happen until we have the application in a more final state. Because this is still far from final. Again, I have a whole nother little plugin to add into it. Also, there is a little feature in the job prep right here. After you preview, we'll go over to the job prep. So after you do the preview of, let's say, the very first image, this over here, you can save this preview. And I say that you can because you'll want to have this in the future. I have worked closely with Damon here and there. I can't say I've worked closely with him. I've tried to build a relationship and a rapport with him, helping everyone in the Pixnub community. That I've also suggested some things as far as the EZ Team Builder goes. I believe that this is going to be useful in future stages of the EZ Team Builder. So I've already taken some of the things that I see online. I look at everybody, their posts, see what they're struggling with, and I try to find ways to help mitigate their headaches. If they can use this app and it allows them to get around certain hurdles, then I'm going to try and code it in. This right here is going to be one of the things that will help people in the future. That's why I put it in here. It was a very simple ad, but all I'm saying is that this app is continuously evolving. Same thing with the batch renaming, right? So this logic is going to be renamed It's built based on the columns that you have in here. Now, let's say not everybody wants the group first name, last name, image. Maybe they want first name, last name, image, and then group. I'm not opposed to adding that in here if you want that, right? I can make this change. I can take those little requests. Now, I'm not going to take so many, I'm not going to do it for everyone to where I'm going to have 100 different options in here for a simple CSV. But if I get enough people, or if there's a good enough use case to have a specific naming convention, hey, I'll be happy to do it. But this first name, last name, group, and image, that right there is going to be easily used for easy composites if people want to build composites. They don't need a CSV to run it either, because you can do first name, last name, and it'll show up just fine. Or first name, last name, image, sorry. And then the first name, last name will show up on the composites. And from what I believe, after talking to Damon at SPAC this last time, he might actually modify Easy Composites towards a first name, last name, and then the text for the third one that you can sometimes have. He might do it to where it'll be the group. So you could use this right here, and if you run Easy Composites, you would have James Dean or Nolan Ryan, and then under it have Rangers. And you won't have to make a CSV at all. You just run this one renaming option, and it'll batch rename everything. So documentation will come in time. But right now, definitely need to get this app to a ready state. Any other questions? Looks like we had a few who hung on for the entire try, or the entire session. So hopefully you guys found this useful. I know it saves me countless hours. I know that a few of my other subscribers, they are definitely loving what it's been able to do for them as well. So if there's nothing else, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. It is lunchtime over here on the East Coast, so we are definitely going to try to find some grub. But other than that, happy editing, and I hope you guys have a great time. Have a good one.